So officially welcome to our first community meeting for quite a while. So it's good to see you all again. Well, yeah. So the objectives were to share some feedback from the community. So we've had lots of feedback, and we even had a kind of a more formal exercise where I asked people whether we could sit together for a half an hour debrief, and we got some very useful feedback. So provide some feedback on that, summarize where we are now, explore what we should be focusing on next, and define some priorities and next steps. So that's kind of what I had in mind. So the agenda was one thing. Well, first of all, would you mind just typing into the chat? One thing I'd really like to get from this meeting is, or one thing I'd like to get from the New Good Life is, well, maybe we're waiting for one or two more people to join us. Could you just type in anything that comes to mind in terms of either what you'd like to get from this meeting or more generally the New Good Life group? Hello. So we're just doing
Morning.
for anybody who's just arrived, we are just typing into the chat one thing I'd like to get from this meeting or from the New Good Life in general. And so I'm seeing some answers come in, like an update on progress, what's next, global vision, intercultural posture, and some clarifications on initiatives, thriving in disruption. So thank you very much for those. I'm going to move on and continue with the conversation. So the next item on the agenda is summary of the feedback from the interviews, plus other feedback we've had along the way. How that's impacting on the New Good Life. I call it company. We're not actually a legal entity yet, but that's what we call ourselves, the New Good Life Company, as opposed to the Mycelium and Bernard's Foundation. I'm aiming to have a breakout exercise where we explore a topic or topics of our choice, and then look at priorities and next steps. So that's kind of what I had in mind. So I'm going to move straight into the feedback. So this was, I did actually include in the email I sent out, I think it was on Tuesday, the more detailed summary that ChatGPT churned out for me. But this is some of the key points. So New Good Life strongly valued for meaning, community, depth. The Canvas worldviews polycrisis frame resonate with many people. And if the polycrisis didn't resonate 2 years ago when we started, it probably is starting to now. The original My New Good Life program was appreciated by many of you, and so congratulations for getting through it. But it was, for many people, far too time consuming and too much of a commitment. I think we lost about half the people who started, and many of you, I think, found the amount of effort required to keep up challenging at times. And anybody here managed to do it, so well done. The My New Good Life Plus pilot that we ran end of last year, beginning of this year, most people found it less engaging than the original program. I think for a variety of reasons. I'm not sure there was one thing that really stood out, but a kind of a collection of reasons. Possibly one of them being exhaustion from just having completed the My New Good Life program. I wondered about that. Some people who were concerned about Sutra usability. Well, I have some concerns about Sutra usability and also the data protection aspects. We've started to worry a lot more about GDPR, and so we're thinking about that. There was an interest in the coach pathways, accreditation processes, organizational applications of the New Good Life, and many coaches wanted more help in commercializing the New Good Life, positioning it, commercializing it. So those were some of the feedback. Any immediate reaction from anybody on that? Anything you think was really missing? No. Okay, so partly in response to that, this is kind of where we are now. We've taken some action on some of the feedback. So in terms of the legal entity, we're still exploring the best fit. To be honest, we have small to no incomes, and doesn't seem a great a rush to take on the additional complexity and costs of a company yet. So we're still exploring the best possible fit for us, some kind of for-purpose organization, sort of various options that we're continuing to explore. The public program, I think we've got a program now in the new version of the My New Good Life, which is suitable for average busy working people. So that's why I think one of the big things for this year has been that the new version of the My New Good Life program, which we're halfway through piloting, most people found much more accessible than the original. Well, those who've done the original found it much more accessible than the original, and most people gave very good feedback on the first 5 weeks. Joan, I mean, I know you've done both, and
Yes,
I think you were. I mean, the surprise for me was that people found it useful, even though they'd been through the My New Good Life program, and I think I would be
definitely.
saying that it was much more easy to follow.
Yeah, it's definitely it doesn't take as much time when you during the week and it's broken up into 10, 15 minute slots and stuff. So you can spend as much time again as you want. You can go in depth into it if you want, but it's much lighter than the previous program. And I understood the canvas much better. Now, maybe because I've already attended the other program, but I found it more easier to go in because I knew I could go in and just, a short time and then move, complete it. So yeah, I think I definitely I'm enjoying the current one.
Okay. Okay, so that's been very positive. I think that's kind of a success for 2026. The coach development, there is the program now for coaches would be complete the new version of the My New Good Life program, just focusing on me as an individual, before then moving into the plus, which focuses on me as a coach, before then potentially going further into how can I apply this in organizations. So the path I think is clearer for us now. Oops. Partnerships, the partnership we had with EMCC Global came to an end in January, and so we've been looking for new partners. Anna's been working with the hub in Brussels hub, and we were also introduced to the Universal Coaching Alliance, and so we've got a partnership going with them, which is proving quite fruitful, and so we're running programs with them in the autumn. Recognition, there was some interest in like hourly training credits, and the UCA is offering what they call CCDs, which is the same as CPDs or CPPDs in EMCC terms, and we're exploring accreditation with them. And I dropped into the last email the draft document we submitted to the UCA to kind of outline what the My New Good Life Plus program would look like. So that's kind of moving forward. We're exploring other learning management technologies. We're playing with a new version at the moment. The organizational offer, Bernard's been running something called We Need to Talk, which some of you already, I know, are involved in. And I've been working on a program for a large public sector organization based in Brussels, which is focused on developing a program for managers called Managing in Complexity. And I think that could be something that could be turned into something for the New Good Life community, because I think one of the aspects in terms of organizations was helping managers deal with what's coming, is here and what's coming. And so managing complexity, I think, is a core part of that. So if you're coaching a manager, one of the things that's really different is the amount of complexity they need to deal with. So if anybody's interested in what's going on in that area, just drop me an email and maybe we'll fix up a separate conversation. And community support, well, of course, there's the mycelium community. This is, I'd like to have regular meetings. This is the most recent, and we have some common projects. So just quickly, looking at some of the examples, um, in terms of coaching, I think many people feel comfortable that the My New Good Life and My New Good Life Plus programs provided useful tools for the toolbox, their coaching toolbox. I've heard people saying that the concept of the museum and the basement was helpful. hybrid training coaching. So one of the ideas was to use the new version of the My New Good Life program, My New Good Life Thriving in Disruption, and guide your own clients through that. And Clark's got an experiment starting in the autumn where she has got a small group of coachees, which she's going to be taking through the My New Good Life program. At least that's the plan, as I understand it at the moment. Um, Doing a kind of hybrid training coaching approach. I don't know if you want to say anything about that, Clark, or whether that's enough.
Well, I think that's about right.
Okay. Okay. And others that we've spoken to, like Raja, has taken the New Good Life concepts and tools and adapting them for a kind of more Middle Eastern market. Graciela brought a project in, which was discussed by the community, and I think Graciela felt she got some quite useful advice and support from the community, and is now working with that particular customer in new ways, as I understand it. Graciela, have I correctly captured that?
Yes, thank you, Rob. Yes, it has been a great help. I got great help from the community, and I am starting to work with the diocese there of in France with some of the priests. So it's good.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And then Bernard has his We Need to Talk initiative. I know some of you have involved in that. He's created a little consortium of people working around a potential offering for organizations and managers. And as part of that, there's the idea of 5 meetings. So 5 different meetings that would support managers in organizations dealing with the global context. So there's some things going on already. Any comments or questions on any of that? No? Okay. So for the rest of 2026, so this is some of the stuff I'm focused on. So reviewing the new learning management systems, we're looking at 2 that seemed promising, and we've started to work on with one. Finalizing the new version of the My New Good Life Thriving in Disruption program. It's written out in terms of learning adventures, but it's not all into a learning management system yet. So we need to get that up and running for the second half of the pilot. If anybody wants to join in the second half of the pilot and has time to catch up in the summer, very welcome. And there's a program for non-coaches kind of sponsored by the UCA. So the UCA is advertising it to its members, which would start on the 10th of December and of October. And we're also thinking about offering a version for non-coaches starting early in October. So if you know of anybody who is not a coach but might benefit from the program, then there is a program starting early October. At least that's the schedule. And then the idea would be that we would adapt and pilot the new version of the My New Good Life Plus program later in the autumn. Because the My New Good Life program has changed so much, so it's now kind of a 10-week program, we need to completely revamp the My New Good Life Plus program. So I've started that and I hope to finish it ready for the piloting later in 2026. Any comments on that? I'll share all the slides in the recording. Okay. Okay, so we are slightly ahead of schedule. So let me just stop for a second. Any reaction to any of that? Comments, questions, thoughts? Hello, Marie.
Yeah, I think I have a question about the continued development of the My New Good Life programs. So, do I get it correct that you are now going in the next year after the summer change My New Good Life Plus based on how thriving is in disruption is now evolving?
Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to basically, yes. The idea would be the new version of the My New Good Life program would be the program that everybody starts on.
Mhm.
And everybody would go through that only focused on me as an individual. Not in the original program, we tried to do 2 things. We looked at perspective as me as a personal and me as a coach. The plan would be to make it simpler, and less work, just focus on one aspect, give everybody the chance, even coaches and non-coaches, to go through the program to just experience it themselves. And then we would change the structure of the My New Good Life Plus program to follow the 10-week structure of the My New Good Life, the new version, Thriving in Disruption, so that they would be more aligned. And then I've got some ideas in terms of how to make them more engaging. So it would be kind of updated to reflect some of the feedback and the new structure that it will follow in terms of the My New Good Life Thriving in Disruption version. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the Thriving in Disruption is not what you previously conceived of as the My New Good Life Light,
Well,
but
it is.
then just a new version of the original My New Good Life program.
Well, it is My New Good Life Light because it's much lighter. So that was
Yes.
that was the original plan. But I think the experience Anna and I have had of running the new version, originally called Light, then called Thriving in Disruption, possibly in the future just called My New Good Life to avoid all kinds of confusion.
Yeah.
Anna and I wondered whether it would work for coaches. So that was one of the purposes of the pilot, was to find out, could this be sufficiently interesting for coaches to make it the foundation? And I think our conclusion is yes, it can be.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And I must just say the breakout rooms, particularly in the sessions, there's been great interaction and great engagement when we're in those breakout rooms. It has been, it's even resulted, I think, in one of the participants organising that we meet up over the summer, that we continue our networking during the summer before we go back to the other 5 weeks in September.
Yeah, I think the great thing about the My New Good Life program is that it attracts fantastic people onto it, and they're able to have wonderful conversations. So I think that's almost the secret sauce, is the people who arrive, and the interactions that they can have. So yeah.
And another interesting comment is that the weekly meetings are 45 minutes. So we've made them shorter, and yet the connections are incredibly powerful. It's just a check-in. But as Joan says, it's really created some very powerful bonding and connection. So, yeah.
I have a question. Can I go? It's
Yeah.
for the My New Good Life non-coaches. And if I offer this to the people I know, what are the conditions, or what I should say, or you have something that can help me to show to them, or I don't know, a little
Yeah.
or
So
something.
we have a little sales brochure which I'll be updating over the summer. And
Okay.
so this would be something you could show them. If we were staying with Sutra, and it's still possible, there is a sort of a landing page where we can direct people to find out more. So there's a bit of marketing support that will be available for you to show to your potential clients if you're interested. So one of the things you could do is invite people to go through the program and then coach them along the journey. That might be something that you would want to do. I mean, Clarcia is taking a group, I think, of about 6 people together through the program. So we've set up in Sutra Clarcia's own version, which she can then manage and take her clients through the program as she wishes. But the other approach would be to put your clients onto the open program and then offer them some kind of coaching in parallel.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, so they do the learning adventures, and then you can choose whether it's individual coaching you want to provide them, or whether you want to do the group call. So it's a group coaching once a week. So you can structure it a way that suits you and the clients you have. But the platform's there and your clients can access it.
And one of the things you might say to us in later on is, but it needs to be in German or French or Spanish, and so that might be something else we could talk about how to convert it. Because there's much less material, it's much easier to translate. So we look at one of the criteria for the new learning management system is multilingual, multi-language, so that we can run it in different languages. Okay, I'm going to push on. So the next exercise we thought of doing was is to have conversations around one or more of these types of questions. So you could suggest alternatives. So this isn't, I'm not trying to force a question on you, but the sort of thing that might be relevant for some of you is what would help me apply the new good life learning more effectively in my coaching training or OD practice is, and then so putting some kind of answer to that so that we can take that and try and provide it in the future. Or from a sales perspective, what would help me turn my new good life learning into revenue is, and you could tell us what you'd really like to help. So, I mean, it could be what I need is sales brochures, what I need is in my language. So those are the kinds of answers that might come out of that conversation. We could focus on the community. What would help us create a strong community that would support us going forward is, or we could go more globally, what would bring the new good life into the world more powerfully? So what would bring the new good life into the world more powerfully is ... So you could go into any of those questions. Would anybody like to propose another one that isn't kind of addressed by that? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I didn't get an answer, which I'm quite pleased with because it would cost me more time to organize it. I'm just going to put those questions into the chat. So I've just put the slide into the chat and I've got the breakout rooms organized so that you should be able to go into the room of your choice. So we've got breakout room 1, which is the new good life, putting it into practice. Room 2 is sales. Room 3 is community. Room 4 is impact. And if it turns out that everybody's in one room, then I'll split you up into subgroups. So I've got a couple of subgroups organized. Does that make sense? So my plan is to open up the breakout rooms. You get a choice of which room you go into. So go into where the question that most interests you. We'll give you 15 minutes or so to 20 minutes to think through the question. And then at the end of it, your group will just say, what I need to put this into practice is XYZ. And then we'll move through the groups and capture that. And so that can go into our thinking about what we do next. And maybe we follow it up with other meetings to go into more detail. Welcome back. Was that enough time? Okay, so it's a bit of shaking your heads, no, yes, okay. So I guess it might depend a little bit on your question. So my suggestion is that we just hear from the 3 groups. The first group was around the practice, second group focused more on the selling, and the third group more on the global impact. So the questions were, if I just put them up again. So basically what I'd like to is, how did you end the sentence? So the first group, if you could prepare just to answer what happened when you tried to complete the sentence, what would help me apply new good life learning more effectively is, what did you come up with? Charles, Graciela, Joan, Nikki, or Sheila?
Marie. Oh, no, hang
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Can I talk for the sales one?
You can do, but we haven't got there yet.
All
We're going to work through them in sequence. We'll start with the practice, then the selling, and then the impact. And I see you're a volunteer for the selling, which is fantastic.
I'm happy to chime in. I mean, I'm just trying to quickly summarize what we might have
concluded for the sentence, because we all kind of just shared our own personal kind of reaction to that. And I think it differs for us. I think there's just it's not whether you've got to give it to us or whether we've got to find it ourselves, but some clarity on how we would approach the whole program with clients, because there's so many different aspects to it, with different tools that you could use to help people that are doing at different stages, where they are, what they want to gain clarity on themselves as a client, right up to whether you even do it around the global crisis and the poly crisis and things like that. So I think I'm not sure we've probably got the answer to the end of the question, Rob, but we're all curious and intrigued about how to take it forward.
All right. So if people from group one could have a go at putting into the chat because it sounds like you have different needs. So
Yeah,
if you could capture any thoughts in the chat, and then I'll circulate it around afterwards with the notes and the recording, etc. So if anybody from group one or all of group one could type in what you think you need to help you apply the New Good Life material more effectively.
I
If you
think, Rob, there was an element of some of us are using elements of it in our one-to-one and our, with our services. Some are confused about how do you, if you're with clients, how do you bring this in to them? Because they're coming with their story and their issues. So how do you bring this into it? And then it was like on an individual basis, you can use elements of it. Some of us said been using bits, but overall then, is it a program that you'd advertise and say, I'm running this program called the MNGL. How do you bridge it? And is it a program that's available to coaches, or is it something you'd purchase or a license program, or how would you practically use it in your business?
Okay, I think rather than trying to answer that,
Yeah.
maybe we need another meeting just focused on that. Because or I can put some thoughts down and then maybe we get together and we explore, because there's lots of ways. I mean, the answer to that question could easily take us half an hour.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we only have 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They were the things that came up, and I saw some people did feel, how do I use it? With they were questioning.
Yeah.
There's loads of tools, but how do you actually use it? Some people found that challenging.
All right.
Rob, may I just add to that, just for clarity's sake? I've also sensed this underlying tension between how do we use it as a brand, as its own standalone methodology with the clients, and this has to do both with practice and with sales. Do we package it like as a standalone, or do we integrate it as part of our individual coaching system methodology tools?
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Fantastic.
that's the tension. Check.
Terrific. All right. So I've noted that and I'll come back with some thoughts and maybe we get together as a group to explore that in a bit more detail. Can we hear from you again, Marie, regarding sales?
Yeah, we also realized that we need more clarity and more clarity around, again, this tension between is it a standalone, is it packaging it, because there's been a progression and a refinement and iterations of some of the elements from the first pilot programs, then to the thriving in disruption. Before that, it was like you explained a bit also to Claudia before, but to be able to go out and sell it, I think some of the coaches feel like it would be beneficial to have something like a product, a more defined, refined product that they could easily, develop. We could develop the materials for and share with people, whether it's organizations or non-coaches. So there needs to be more clarity there, we felt. And
Okay.
Caroline and Ksenia, please chime in if I've missed anything.
Yeah, I would love to. I like this idea, from the start. And the title, We Need to Talk, is an excellent entry point to come into the organization you've been or you haven't been. And with this, we need to talk. And to offer actually for sale, for sales, the program which is for anyone, coach or not, already exposed to personal development courses or not, to actually introduce climate change and this developmental program. And then from that point, it's, I think, a good way to sell the idea of climate change entering through this course and further programs. And of course, we need to start somewhere. In order to learn again, we will learn all the time. I mean, there are no endings of learning and making mistakes. And we need to start to sell, actually, the program. But for me, it would be helpful to know, this is, let's say, for starters, and this is for maybe advanced, and then this is the first, second, third kind of gradation, what to offer, when, and to whom, which was already done. But just to, let's say, clear that in this new development, which I heard today, just to have more clarity on that. And what I would need, let's say, I would need maybe, not maybe, it would be helpful to have it translated into Croatian language, which shouldn't be a big problem. So.
Okay, fantastic. Just for those of you who aren't familiar with what's going on in the We Need to Talk consortium, there's been, it doesn't actually take very long to go through the conversation. So a group of people are working together on this idea of an offering for organizations. And what seems to have emerged out of this is 5 meetings to establish future readiness. So that's all available for you to see in Mycelium. If you can't find it, you just let me know. So it's basically an offering for organizations, for leaders. I think, Graciela, you've been quite heavily involved, but
Yes, I have been involved with Verna in this. Yes, and it's focused on the organizations and teams and organizations. So we have been looking to do a questionnaire for managers and looking to do a meeting with clients, but still working on it. So.
Okay. All right. So if you have, I mean, this is only an hour, so we haven't got very long, but if you've got questions, fire them off to me and I'll try and collect them and provide a kind of consolidated answer. We've got one more group to hear from, the Impact Group, Clarcha, Adlira, and Siobhan. Would somebody mind quickly completing the sentence for us?
Yeah, will I say something?
Yeah, please.
It's just we're running out of time and I'm trying to type it. So I just want to say first, we're already a global movement and it's been, I said, a silent global movement, and it's basically word of mouth and referrals at the moment. And just a question to you, Rob, maybe for later. I wonder how many people are aware of MNGL already, regardless if they did it or not. I think the awareness is already quite strong. It could be thousands of people. We don't know, because I've told loads of people I'm on this, but they haven't done it. But they're still already now in the group because they've heard of it. So, and I think the one thing that came out is that, well, like we see the same needs of individuals and we're able to bring it all together in My New Good Life. I think that's really important. We have a kind of a helicopter view of what people need and what they're struggling with. And
we thought maybe we need different terminology in order to bring it to a global audience. My new good life may seem a little bit fluffy, my words. And I think one of the most important thing is that I think we need to build our courage to express, like the layperson doesn't have the ability to express what's going on in their soul and what they need. And I think it's up to us to kind of become fluent in what it is we're offering here, and have the courage. It does take courage, and to know that we won't be rejected, because everybody does want this. So that's, yeah.
Yeah, lovely. And I think our job will get easier and easier as more and more climate records are broken and Trump does his weird stuff. So I think our job will become easier. 2 years ago, maybe people were less open, but I suspect that as we go forward, our job will become easier and easier because we'll be preaching to the converted, that people will know there's an issue, and it'll be a question of how can I best respond. All right, so those are great and very interesting feedback. So thank you very much for
You
that.
wanted to say something at one point. I saw your hand up, or was I mistaken? Caroline, did you want to say something just before Siobhan started?
Well, it was actually connected to we need to talk, but I'm already typing. It's just to see, because it seemed to me, Rob, when you just showed to share that it's a closed channel, because I am on Discord, but I don't get the connection to the we need to talk.
Okay, maybe Bernard invited people into it who expressed an interest. So
Yeah.
Okay, I must have missed it. So
if you're interested, let me know and I'll make sure Bernard lets you in.
Okay.
And anyone else that's interested, just let us know. We'll add you in.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay,
Anna.
so I think hopefully you found this useful. I certainly have. Maybe what we need to do is to have another meeting, but focus on particular aspects like the practice, the selling, or the impact, and take them a bit further for those who are interested. So what I'll do is I'll fix up some dates. I'll do a summary and try to answer as many of the questions that have come up as possible in written form. And then maybe what we can do is to have separate meetings focused on one of these topics so we have a bit more time to go into more detail. This is kind of a quick update and quick feel from the community of where the issues are and where we need to go next. So I appreciate that. If anybody wants to stay on, I mean, I'm not throwing you off, but I think I like to commit to stick to an hour if I've said an hour. So I think we've more or less got to where we need to. I'll follow this up with a summary